When you need someone to talk to and you don't know what to do, call us 4400. When you're feeling all alone and they turn their back on you, call us 4400. Call us 4400. Call us 4400. Call us.
This is Time Counseling Podcast with your hosts, Cammie Roberts, Fred Charles, Danya Roberts, and me, Deshaun Devontae.
What's going on, man?
All right, yeah.
What up? All right, man. So today we got a special guest. We have Mr. Wesley Goodrich, political science major and a directing major from Pace University. He's about to graduate. He's going to tell us a little bit about his film and what it's like navigating college. And we just want to welcome him to the show. So, Mr. Goodrich, how are you, sir?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm a little stressed, but I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So, you're about to graduate.
I am, God willing, yeah.
God willing. Okay, so go ahead.
What has 4 years at Pace been like?
I was actually thinking about this a couple days ago because I had my last directing class at Pace 2 days ago. And I was feeling like the whole time I was at Pace, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get out of here. Like, I'm going to feel great when I get out of here. And I actually felt a little sad about it. Pace hasn't been easy. It's a predominantly white institution. So it's, you'll deal with various kinds of racism, which just comes with the territory. And it's stressful because I was taking from sophomore year all the way now, I've always taken 18 credits and none less than 18 credits. Wow. So, and this semester I have 21 credits, one of which is like a writing enhanced course. So you're writing an essay every week. And so Pace has been really good. I think it's been good for me. I liked 90% of the classes I had to take, but I would be lying if I'm saying like, oh, no stress. Like I've been very stressed, especially this semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does a college student like yourself deal with stress? Because we see a lot of college students here who can't deal with stress.
Yeah, man, I haven't even handled my own stress the best. I think, if I'm being transparent, I think I have developed good habits and bad habits. Good habits is I've become focused about the things that I need to be focused about. I think 90% of the time, if I have to do something, it will get done. Right? Like if I have an essay, it will get done. So I'm good at focusing in when I have to, when the pressure is on. But I've also, I know I eat way more than I used to. Like I like definitely stress eat now. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm hungry. I gotta go eat or something just to take up my time. Or I'll go and I'll like watch YouTube videos when I should be doing something else just to de-stress. And I know those things are like blockers for what like the stress is actually happening. But I know personally, I have a hard time dealing with stress all at once. If it's like 6 stressful things all at once, so I've tried to like take one thing at a time, take one thing, take a break, take one thing, take a break.
All right.
So yeah.
That's good.
Do you feel like that stress inhibits your creative process?
No, not necessarily. I think, my mom always makes jokes that like, oh, I find time for like what I want to find time for. But like, I know that in the last 4 years, I've been able to write like 3 plays scripts and like 2 short film scripts. And that's like,
okay.
I'm really proud of that. So I definitely have the time to do it. It's just a matter of like my time management overall, I think could use some buffing up, definitely.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've heard, I guess, obviously, like time management being a big issue for, in terms of being in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, so another issue is finding a major, right?
Yeah.
So for, college students, it's kind of like the pressure of what am I going to major in? How am I going to make money?
Yeah.
How did you choose political science and directing? How did you choose that?
So directing was what I wanted to do. I auditioned for like maybe 12 different schools for my bachelor's, and some of them, or maybe better is 12 different programs, right? So I'll have two programs in one school. So I auditioned for some acting programs. I auditioned at Rutgers and Fordham and Michigan in DePaul.
Okay.
And then I auditioned for directing, which is there's not a lot of directing programs in undergrad, so it's maybe like 10 really good ones.
Okay.
And I tried to audition for like maybe 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think inside of myself was like, acting always made me kind of feel like a little bit of a fish in a barrel. Like you can't really do anything for yourself. You just got to find a part, or you can write your part, but they don't really teach that in the school. Like they don't go, oh, this is how you write a part for yourself. And so it's really just like, especially if you're black, they're like, okay, this is August Wilson. This is the only thing you're going to be doing for the next 50 years of your life. So learn every single monologue in here,
Wow.
and then go on audition. And that was kind of like, I don't really want to do that. So and I wanted to be able to make stuff on my own terms. So directing seemed like the thing I wanted to do.
Okay.
And then a year in, my mom was like, "Look, we support you on the directing, but there's not a lot of bread in this industry that you're gonna make right off the bat. So you should probably have another thing that you like doing that can actually make you money." So it was between like English, business, and political science, and I just went with political science. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Really? So there's not a lot of money in directing? That's the first time I'm hearing that. I thought different.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, but
Like starting out, why?
Yeah, starting out, like I'm constantly trying to scrape together money for stuff. I'm constantly like, man, how do I make How do I make something that is small enough that I can, out of my own pocket, out of the pockets of people I know, I can make it. Right? Like, I think my directing teacher at the Drama League says like, there's always a 15-year plan you have to have as a director, right? And it can be less than 15 years or more than 15 years, but 15 is the average, right? By 15 years, if you put in work and you're really hardworking, you will be able to make money in this field. It's just a matter of 90% of the people who do that don't want to take the 15 years because they're like, 15 years, I'm going to be
Too long.
35, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So, Steven Spielberg, I think he was in his 30s when he made Jaws. Like, he wasn't, like, in his 20s. So, like, it takes a while. It's a process, and it's a long time where you're kind of just like, okay, I'm going to put out this other movie, and hopefully people watch it. Maybe people don't watch it. Or I'm going to put out this play, and maybe people watch it, probably not. And it's just trying to motivate yourself until someone finally goes, oh, that's awesome. Let's produce that or whatever.
So it's a marathon.
Yeah, so I hear,
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, so you have a couple, you have a short movie as well as a play that you've directed.
Yeah.
How did you know you were first interested in, I guess, in arts, theater? Like, how did you know you were first interested in that?
So I'd always liked, at the back of my mind, the truest of true answers. There's probably actually 2. So the first one is I saw Cheaper by the Dozen when I was 5. My mom took me to see Cheaper by the Dozen. I remember seeing all those kids. I don't even think I've told Mom this story. I saw all those kids, and I was like, I could have done that. I could have been one of those kids.
Okay.
And I remember my mom took me to Sears after, and I looked around for a video camera. I was like, where are the video cameras? My mom was like, we're not getting a video camera today. Relax.
Really?
We had one at home, like an old, like bulky old one.
Okay.
And I made like movies on it. But and then when I turned like 10, my stepfather Fred, like, I would just come to his rehearsals of Raising the Sun just to watch. And one of the days he was just like, hey, the guy playing Travis quit, because that happened a lot in that production. Like he had like, no, I'm serious. He had like, Fred had like 3 or 4 people who were originally in the cast, and because they're like 13, they're like, yeah, dude, I want to go like watch television or whatever. They just were like, I'm out.
Right.
And so one of the guys who swapped out was the guy who played Travis, and he was just like, you want to play Travis? And I did, and it was like the most fun experience I'd had up to that point.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like so
how old
important. I was like 10. I felt so important. I was like, excuse me. I remember leaving. My mom put me on the bus, this public bus, for the first time when I was 10, and I'd be like to my friends, I'd be like, I'm in a play, guys. Like, I'm gonna go be in that play now.
So you felt important.
I felt super important.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you tell us about the movie. You made a movie, Goodnight Fred.
Yeah.
Tell us about the movie.
So I've always really liked movies, and I always kind of felt like movies are so like hard to make, and you watch them and they're finished, and you're like, how does anyone ever make that? And I saw Black Panther last year, and I was like, man, I should just try it. I should just try to make a movie. So my mom's a history teacher, so I'm always, since I was 5, like I've been hearing about different like Black figures from history or whatever, and it always interests me, like, what are these people actually like what were what did they have for breakfast, what did they have for dinner. And one of the kind of, I feel like, ones that people don't think about a lot is Fred Hampton, who was like the 21-year-old Black Panther in Chicago, who like united all the gangs, and like really his end goal was to make sure like the South Side was operating in a way that was like there was less gang violence, and that the Black people of the South Side felt empowered in their own community and weren't being assaulted by like the police and all these different things.
Okay.
And so obviously he was killed because of that.
Right.
And I thought, what is that guy's last night like, right? So like I researched it, and he was with his girlfriend who was pregnant with his kid, and we don't really know what was happening. There's a lot of conflicting stories, but we know that there's other people in the house. We know that one of the people in the house was a rat to the Chicago police. We know that they drugged him, and we know that he wasn't awake when they shot him to death, right? So I tried to write a 10-minute film that was just the last conversation he had with his girlfriend.
Okay.
I thought that would be the smallest movie I could possibly make that I'd be really interested in. I knew that if it was just 2 rooms, I could just get my friends who have video cameras just to come in. And I knew I had my grandmother's house that I could just flip really fast.
Okay.
So that was the impetus to make the movie.
Okay. All right. So
So tell us a little bit about what a director actually does, like.
other than cut and stop,
right?
right.
Because like I have a picture in my head of what a director does, but you can enlighten us a little bit.
Oh man, I wish I had like a definitive answer. Like, there's actually real talk. There's like 18,000 schools of thought on like what a director does. Like,
Really?
like all the way back to like Greek theater. Like no one agreed on what a director did, and the idea of a director didn't even come into being until the 1800s. But people had been directing like, hey, you stand there and you stand there, but no one had given that a title until the 1800s. So. All that to preface is what I'm about to say is like not gospel, but I think a director, the goal of the director is to make sure that everybody working with you feels empowered to do their best work, right? So my job is not to tell people how to do their job, right? Like I'm not supposed to come in there and be like to the lighting guy, like, yeah, obviously this is how you light it, like, and lift up like that would be me encroaching on his job. But what I can do is be like, I have this really great vision. I want to make a movie about a guy and the last night of his life, and I want it to be like a dream. And the person goes, oh yeah, a dream, like what colors are you thinking? I'll go, oh, blue, yellow, da-da-da. And they'll go, oh, blues and yellows, I have those. Let's see what these look like. And then the same thing with the actors. They're like, oh, my vision for this character is that he's kind of a nervous guy. It's been a long day. Oh, okay, I can do that. And you're like, could you say that line with this intention so that it reads more this way? And they'll go, oh yeah. Okay. So you just want to make sure everybody feels like you care about what they're doing and you respect them enough.
Okay.
And you're also making this vision in your head happen in a way that's not dictatorial. Like in a way that you're not like, you do this the way I want you to do it. You know what I mean? So that's all I.
Well, I guess.
So what happens if while you're making your movie, an actor doesn't carry out the vision that you have for your movie? Then what happens?
Oh man. Well, I think there's a couple things that you have to think about. You got to be able to cast someone that you hopefully, and it doesn't always work out, that you trust enough to be able to at least they care about the thing as much as you do. Because if they're not doing what you want them to do because they don't care, that's one thing. But I think if they care and they're just not getting the note, it's a matter of sitting down and figuring out what language they speak with, right? Like the way I speak to you, Cammie, is going to be different from the way I speak to like my stepdad, because you guys process things different ways. So I can't go, move the coffee cup to the left. Some people may not get why, and some people may just do it. So if someone's not doing it the way I want them to do it, I just have to kind of give the note a different way to see if that works, or give the note a third way to see if that works. And it's just kind of a process,
Do you ever give them instruction, like, okay, this is how I want you to do it, and do you ever demonstrate that for them, or do you just leave it up to the actor or the actress to interpret your vision?
At first, I'll try to let them just do it the way they think they see it in their head. If it's a really important scene, like there's a new thing around intimacy, because of the new, like the Me Too movement, there's been a lot of stuff about directors encroaching too much on people's space. So like, if I touch you this way, some people don't want to be touched that way. So that's the only time where I'll be very specific right off the bat. Like, hey, is it okay if I touch you on your arm? Is it okay if you touch her on your arm? That's the only time I'll be really specific at the beginning. But at the beginning, I try to let them just play around. And then if I see something that they keep doing that I like, I'll go, hey, keep doing that. Or like, hey, don't do that anymore. That doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So as I guess for me as a layperson, you think of a director as somebody with all this power and you hear the things on TV about how they abuse people, or, make them do things they don't want to do, all that kind of stuff. So is there like a sense that you have to be mindful of not being too bossy or something like that?
It's weird because I'm a person that is confrontation is tough for me. Okay. So that's something I actually have to learn. Like that confrontation isn't necessarily like aggression or spirited. I think as a director, you're supposed to be serving the best interest of whatever you're making. So you are the boss, like in the sense of like, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, everyone's gonna be like, "Yo, Wesley's thing sucked, man." Like, but I'm not the boss in the sense of I'm telling everybody how to do their job. I everything is flowing through me. Like everybody has to come to me. Hey, does this look good? Hey, does this look good? Hey, what do you think of this? But I'm not the boss in the sense of I'm micromanaging people, like standing over their shoulder, trying to figure it out. The only time I'll be there actively working with someone's job is at the beginning when we're talking about what their job is going to be, or like if it's a movie, if you're editing with someone, you're like, oh, that shot looks good, could you put that one in, Yeah.
Okay. Now we saw we came to see your play, A Good Place to Raise a Boy, the story of Emmett Till, right? That was a very moving play. What emotionally, what kind of toll that took on you, just kind of reenacting the whole Emmett Till thing?
Man, I never want to like talk about lynchings ever again. Like that's it, like because I had to write it and then I directed it, so all together the process of like from like page to like the last version of the stage show, it was like 2 years. Like I just finished the last draft of it in January after watching someone direct a reading of it, and I'd been writing it since the summer of 2016. So it's been a while, Okay. And emotionally, it's tough to write something about suffering that acute, something that is so an event that is so terrible, like a 14-year-old was murdered. Like that is the worst thing that you could ever write about. And that's tough, and you don't always want to submerge yourself in that. But I think also I was able to find like these are also like people, like they laughed and they joked around and all that stuff. So I think even though it is one of the saddest moments in our country's history, I tried to find moments of happiness and joy so that me and the actors and everybody else weren't like, oh yeah, we're doing this lynching play again. This play that's so sad, and
How did you come up with that name, A Good Place to Raise a Boy?
That was actually my stepdad told me that the place where Emmett Till was killed, Money, Mississippi. The slogan is, Money, Mississippi is a good place to raise a boy. It was like the slogan for years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Money or Sumner, whatever the town where I think he was tried. That was the log line.
So I guess just like you talked about, like being a director we're on Flatbush Avenue here.
Yes.
Summertime on Flatbush. All right. So as a director, that's does it take an emotional toll on you investing in all this time and energy into these pieces that you're doing?
Yeah. It's a job. So like at the end of the day, like you can't take it home with you necessarily. Like you don't want to like leave your scene. You may leave sad because you didn't get it the way you wanted it to be that day. But I've had to learn to just, and I don't do it 100% of the time well, but I gotta just learn to like shake it off and come back the next day. Like my mom always has this phrase like reset. You gotta reset yourself. If it's a good day, just reset, because it's not gonna be a good day necessarily tomorrow. or if it's a bad day, just reset, because it's not going to be a bad day necessarily tomorrow. So I've had to learn to let it go a little bit, because if I bring it home with me every night, it's a pain for like the people I'm around, and also myself. Like I'll just be dejected because the performances are not where I want them to be today. And that's just like, that's not fun for like my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're graduating college in a month or a few weeks, and what's the next step for Mr. Goodrich?
So I applied film school, and I think I got into a couple of them, but film school is very expensive, and I turned down those offers, and I think what I'm going to end up doing, God willing, is I've started to apply to a bunch of jobs in like film and theater, like little jobs, just to get my foot in the door. I've also started to write a couple grant and fellowships. So like, there's a grant one place where they're like, oh, we'll give you $3,000 if we like your idea,
nice.
And that's great, So I'm just trying to be as hungry as possible, and just get as many kettles cooking as possible, and see whatever one heats up first is be the one I'll go with.
So is that typically how a director raises money? Because I heard you say before that there's an average of 15 years before you actually start making money. So is that one of the ways that a budding director would raise money, I guess, for the films that he or she wants to produce?
Man, if you guys
they teach you that in school?
No. If you guys know a way for me to make money, no, I don't know. I honestly, a lot of the stuff has changed. I've heard back in the day, like with Broadway and with film, you'd have to go to like 5 like old guys in suits and be like, this is my idea, and if they said no, that was the end of the idea. Now, because everything is democratized, there's so many theaters and there's so many places where you can put your movie. It's really a matter of figuring out by yourself how much you need for something, and then either saving up for it. One of my best friends, Sam, who helped me direct A Good Place, is like the best at this. He started a Kickstarter once for something we were making. Sometimes he'll just ask around to theater people he knows, and they'll each give him a little bit of money. It's like the Spike Lee method of just asking everybody you know for a little bit of money. I just, for me, it's just a matter of figuring out how much the thing is going to need, figuring out who I can get involved. Like if I can get a script into someone's hand and be like, hey, can you help me with this script? But I know at the back of my head that person can give me money later. That's a good person to give the script to, because they'll be invested and they'll think, oh, I've been involved in the creation of this. Let me throw a little bit of money at him, or I'll give him my space for 10 minutes to do this play for people, So just trying to be strategic, I think, has been worked for me. And hungry.
How did you raise money for your films before? Did you have to?
So for Goodnight Fred, I took a loan from my parents, actually, that I'm still paying off. I'm serious. I had $300 in the bank. I had $300 in the bank that I'd saved, and then I took a loan from my folks that I'm still paying off. I'm in debt. And the whole thing together cost $900. And I spent every single dollar, and now I'm paying off with my blood. So,
Wow, my goodness. All right. Well, I guess anything you have coming up that you might want to share? Any projects you're working on? Any shows you're in?
Shows. Goodnight Fred. The trailer for it is on Vimeo. Whatever the website is. I'm working on. I've written 2 things. One is like something that I'd probably would need a little bit more money for, and then the other one is something I'd probably make with less money. The first thing is based on the moment where Sidney Poitier won an Oscar. So he was the first black man to win an Oscar, as everybody knows. And the whole thing takes place in that 1 minute between his category getting called and his name getting called, and like what was going through his head in that 1 minute, and it's stretched to about 10 minutes. So that's something that would probably be a little bit more pricey, and I've actually sent that out to a couple people to see if I can get any money for it. But that's something that's really exciting for me. And then another thing is a smaller thing that I'm trying to just get off the ground. And then I'm trying to start writing another play if I have the time resources. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to donate money to Wesley Goodrich, how would they contact you?
My email.
All right.
Just
Cash
You
App.
want to share it?
goodrichwes@gmail.com. So GOODRICH Wes WES@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even just the money. I feel like I'm like a pauper or something. It's like it's more like it's like hey, if I've been trying to, I write a lot, but I'm like, man, if someone has a script that I really like, I'd love to like direct that or whatever. I've never directed somebody else's work that's new. Like I've always either directed my stuff or like something old and published. I'd love to like get someone's thing that they've already been working on and be like, hey, this is an idea I have, and I get to direct that. That'd be amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, keep at it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to see your name in lights
Yes.
soon.
Direct
We're like,
Robert Thomas.
hey, you know him.
There you go, right.
him.
So listen, man. So we want to thank you again for
Thank you,
coming by the Kind Counseling podcast, and we look forward to big things from you, and come back when you're rich and famous, man.
They'll have to wait 40 years, but I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.